Hi, I'm Keeley, and I found my home at Whitefields. One day, 2 people show up at my school, and they're checking me out of school early. I wonder why. And then I get in this car and see my little brother there, and he's just crying. We end up at the Oklahoma DHS office, where we're sitting there for a couple hours, and we get split up and just severed, pulled away from each other. And there's nothing quite like the coldness that you experience in that building. Time moved on, and I went to a lot of different foster homes. Most not so great. Encountered a lot of abuse, physical, sexual, all sorts of things. It's terrible. I have a lot of resentment for the foster care system. They were sympathetic with what was going on. I explained to them, even in that room, that my current foster home was treating me very poorly. And they said, well, we have a place for you. We have a place for you to call home, somewhere that you can stay. So I remained at Whitefields until I had graduated high school. And I lived with the Browns, a wonderful family. They're very loving, very, very, very tender and very real.
At first, we were kind of under the impression that he wasn't wanting a family or anything like that. He was just kind of needing a place to stay until he went to college, and he moves in, and right away he wants to be part of the family. And so we were a little shocked at first that is what he wanted.
I know that whenever I entered Whitefields, I had a damaged mental state, and they helped me come to terms with what my past was and how it doesn't really define who I am, but it does show me what I never want to be.
My name is Ruben. I found a home in Whitefields. I got placed in DHS when I was around 6 or 7. Jumped around from a lot of different places. Whitefields came into play around when I was 15. I had a lot of mixed emotions at the time. I ended up leaving Whitefields, or running away, I should say. When I got caught, they were the only, place that ever, said we would take him back right now. That kind of sent a message to me like Whitefields is not like all the, all the other little places I've been to. They had a different impact on my life. I stayed with them, met the Browns. They had a big role in life too. That's really my forever family that Whitefields, placed upon me or whatever. And I ended up getting into some trouble a little after I ran away from Whitefields the second time. I guess they forgave me, They still try to, be there in my life, even though I've done some crazy things,
So we got a call about 2 months after he had been missing that he was found shoplifting in Edmond, and with the option of coming to pick him up. And of course, my instinct wanted to go run and go pick him up and bring him back to Whitefields. And Frank and Taylor were on a different point, and they thought that wouldn't fix anything. And if we went and picked him up, then he might not have learned what he, had the chance to. So we didn't. We talked with DHS, and he ended up going to a shelter, running away from that shelter, and then ended up in a lot of trouble and ended up in jail. That was hard, but I feel like it also gave us time in the 1.5 years that he was there to visit him and to invest in his life. And, I think he was shocked that people were still involved.
And I just remember our staff, all of our staff, just being incredibly heartbroken about this, because this is a young man who had potential, enormous intelligence, drive, and he was smart. We hated to see him, going down this path where he was going to be another statistic, especially as a Oklahoma minority. The system is stacked against him. And so we made a conscious effort, along with the foster family that We were going to stand by him and attempt to see him through.
Whitefields and the Browns were like the only ones, you know, visiting me. They're the only ones that visited me. And I mean, that kind of, sent that family, you know, I finally, you know, realized what family means, you know, in jail, you know, being locked up, them being the only ones, you know, visiting me. I'm thinking that Whitefields, I was long gone from there, you know, just another story. But I mean, they came up there and I was pretty shocked after I got out, you know. I could feel nothing but, you know, love for them, you know.
He got released, and the judge, when it was time for him to be released out of custody, told him that he's never in all his years heard or seen a case where a young man, you know, goes to prison and this foster family that has zero ties and by all accounts should have cut ties with them a long time ago, stood by him, and he's moving back into their home. Unless Ruben had that support system when he got out, he would have reoffended. We keep in touch quite often, and the Browns keep in touch, and he sleeps over at their house, and they help him out. And it's everything that a mother and a father would do for their kid.
Hello, my name is Austin, and Whitefields is a place I call home. At the time that we both got put in the system, I was 3, my brother was 5. We both lived with our mom for about a year, and then she left us with her ex-boyfriend. And about a year later, her ex-boyfriend got arrested, and that's when we first got put in the system. We met the Garners, and they took us in. We were foster kids with them for about a year. They decided to adopt us. I ended up staying with that family for about 7 years, I think. And then I just kept having issues with anger, and I was running away a lot. So they put me back in the system. And from there, I went to a hospital. I had a lot of therapy going on. About 2 months into being in that mental or the hospital or whatever, I found out that my parents had given up their rights to me and basically put me back in the system. They kept saying that they wanted to love me from a distance, whatever that means. Looking back on it now, I can kind of see what they mean, but at the time, I was just mad. And at the time, like me personally, I'm thinking that these guys have it out for me and that I'm just doing a bunch of therapy because I mean, it's what I'm supposed to do, but the therapy actually helped a lot. And going to church definitely helped. People like always say that, what changed you? Because it was weird because I was 12 and I was throwing fits and having anger management problems. And then like literally like a year later, I'm like one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And I honestly think it had something to do with God. He definitely changed me, and I'm not gonna say that there was like a one life-changing experience, but I think just being in the environment of Whitefields and the church that we were going to, it really helped. At that point in my life, I already knew that there were people that already loved me, and there were people that were there that had my best interests in heart. But definitely having someone else actually come up and say, hey, we want to adopt you. We want you to be a part of our family for the rest of our lives. That's definitely like a confidence booster in a sense. It's definitely like, hey, cool. I'm not that bad of a person because these people obviously want me to be a part of their family.
I look at all the kids that have been through our system, all of them who have, are 18 or above, and the ones that are younger, they've all got either high school diplomas or GEDs, which is unheard of. It's not easy. We're dealing with the bottom 1%, the most difficult children in Oklahoma. They've all been raped, beaten, abused, neglected, things that you can't report on the news because they're so terrible. They've done nothing wrong except have parents who have not taken care of them. And we're able to help them get well. It takes a long time. Some kids, it takes years. And so to sit here and be able to talk about Ruben and Keeley and Austin and scores of other kids. It validates the long hours and the long days and laying awake at night worrying. It works. What we're trying to do works.